My name is Andrew Boone. I live in East Palo Alto. I'm a former planning commissioner of that city. Samtrans' proposed Measure W sales tax increase would lock us into another 30 years, preventing us from creating a safe and modern transportation system in San Mateo County. Nearly 1/4 of the tax, 22.5%, will go into highway expansion projects like widening Highway 101 and rebuilding bigger interchanges to accommodate more car traffic. The money would be spent by the Transportation Authority, whose mismanagers have done everything in their power so far to spend as much money as possible from our existing 2004 Measure A sales tax on traffic capacity expansions such as these. And what is the result? Bigger traffic jams than ever before. We do not need to pass another sales tax because we already have Measure A half-cent sales tax and many other funding programs that we can use to fund beneficial programs. Measure A doesn't expire until 2033. We can fund more bus and rail transit, build more sidewalks, bike lanes, paths, and pedestrian bridges with the Measure A funding that we already have. We just need to hire competent leadership who seek to understand and meet our travel needs decades into the future, rather than just trying to preserve the outdated status quo of maximizing car traffic. Measure W's proponents say vote for Measure W because 50% of it is for transit. 60% if you count a new category deceptively called regional transit connections, which can actually be spent on transit improvements or highway projects. Instead of 50% for public transit, we should be passing a tax that's 100% for public transit, bicycling, walking, etc., or not pass a new tax at all. Taking the bus, taking the train, bicycling, walking, carpooling, these need to become commonplace, mainstream modes of transportation 30 years from now. We need to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050, as mandated by California state law. We need to take complete streets seriously and focus on preventing violent car crashes that result in death and serious injuries. Voting no and defeating Measure W on November 6th doesn't mean we can't fund better transit and streets in the future. 2018 is not the end of history. Voting no simply means that we are demanding real transportation solutions, and that we use the funding we already have from Measure A, Senate Bill 1, Regional Measure 3, the State Transportation Improvement Program, the Active Transportation Program, the Transportation Development Act, the One Bay Area Grant, and from federal funding sources in a much wiser way. We already have all these tax-funded programs, but Samtrans and the Transportation Authority are wasting this money on damaging and counterproductive projects such as highway widenings, which have only made traffic jams even bigger and slower. Please join us in demanding real transportation solutions on November 6th. Vote no on Measure W.